Hello everyone, welcome to my channel, StudyLOFT, where I showcase my favorite hobbies and my life as a graduate student. It's been so long since I've uploaded something with my voice, or should I say it's been so long since I've uploaded something in general. As some of you might know from my Instagram, being a graduate student takes a lot of time, energy, and effort to fulfill research goals. So for the past few weeks, most of my time was taken up with writing articles based on my research and writing blog posts in collaboration with other students. But now that the busy period is over, I have more time to film, edit, and focus on doing the hobbies I like to do in my spare time, now full-time. Today I'll be doing a poetry reading while designing my June bullet journal cover spread. I know it's July, but this was filmed way back in May, before my busy period started. I didn't want to not show off this pretty June spread I did. It's actually one of my favorites, and probably one that looks the best out of every spread I've done on this channel. So please imagine this as a July spread. Previously, I did a poetry reading on Rupi Kaur's Milk and Honey. This time I'll be reading from Rupi Kaur's The Sun and the Flowers, which is the second book of the poetry series. I'll be reading this with my normal voice, since last time a couple of my friends and some of you guys pointed out that my voice sounds a bit awkward when whispering, and well, quite frankly, listening to it again, I totally agree. Plus, it stained my throat afterwards, so here I am just talking normally. Let's get started with grabbing a cup of tea or coffee first. Alright, so The Sun and Her Flowers. In this reading, I will only read from the first section called Wilting. There's just so many good poems that really hits home or are way too accurate that makes me feel uncomfortable. So I'll focus on one section at a time. I might make a second video if you guys like these poetry readings, but let's focus on Wilting first. I'll also include some commentary to indicate to you what my thought process is and a bit of my interpretation. But just remember that poetry can have many interpretations, and my interpretation is just one of the many. So if you have your own interpretation, let me know in the comments. Also, if you have the book, you can follow along with me. If I didn't mention a poem you like from the section, you can also let me know your favorite poems from The Sun and the Flowers in the comments below too. The first poem I'll be reading is on page 16. I stuffed a towel at the foot of every door. Leave, I told the air. I have no use for you. I drew every curtain in the house. Go, I told the light. No one is coming in, and no one's going out. Cemetery. Though this is quite a dark poem, it's similar to when we say we want to just dig a hole and live in it away from civilization, but going a bit farther from it to a more heavy and dark atmosphere. While I was reading this poem, it reminds me of the Korean drama The Flower Boys Next Door. I'm not sure if anyone has heard of it, but it stars Park Shin-hye and Yoon Si-yoon, who are both my favorite Korean actors. But with this poem, I'm specifically picturing Park Shin-hye's character, who shuts herself away from people, away from the world, and stays inside her apartment, never going outside and never letting anyone in, kind of like the person in the poem. Without knowing the backstory or context of the person in the poem or Park Shin-hye's character, the description of these actions can speak louder than words. Ironic because we're reading poetry, but they're just actions that you know have reasons behind doing them. Most likely it's coming from experience and could be a defense mechanism. I don't want to go too much into the negative thoughts, but that also doesn't mean I want to highlight just the positives, because I know that in the drama, the male lead is the one that guides Park Shin-hye's character outside of her comfort zone, outside of her apartment, to experience the world again with a support system, aka her flower boys. This turned out to be a more romantic approach, but not everybody's story needs to have romance or that one person to guide you outside of the space. It's ultimately up to the person themselves to figure out that they do matter in the world too. Also, if you or anyone is in need of support, please contact your local support services, though everyone is different and different people require different ways to find your inner peace. First, talking to someone can help to clear the mind to a certain extent, and remember that these support services are there just for you. Okay, so I think that was too long of a commentary on one short poem. On to the next one. So, next is page 21. It isn't what we left behind that breaks me. It's what we could have built had we stayed. This second poem hits hard because I'm an overthinker. I always rethink of past experiences and regret over the things I should have said or done that I didn't do or say. Or I'm fussing over one small incident and wondering how I looked to other people and thinking what would have happened if things went differently. It also goes with breakups, which I think a lot of people might relate this poem to. It's also probably would be Clara's intentions too. For me, romantic breakups aren't the first thing that would pop into my mind. It means much more to me through friendship breakups because most of the time, in my case that is, friendships last longer. Over time, people move far away or our personality changes, and sometimes I wonder if we would have been closer friends if we lived close enough to meet once in a while and develop into a lifelong friendship that could influence each other's lives for the better. But those are just my thoughts. So the next poem, I'm not going to read it. It's on page 30 through 33. It's a pretty long poem that I won't read aloud, but I thought I'd point it out as it describes what love is. Specifically, what healthy love looks like being implemented in life. It also goes into what toxic love is and how to break out of that routine by scrapping your ideal love story, an image of what you think love looks like, either from films or from novel descriptions, etc., media, and then opening up about how you feel about the other person, thinking about what you actually need and want, and if this is a place you feel comfortable, safe, and of course actually loved for who you are as a person, as yourself. Being able to open up your mindset to understand when it is actual love and when it's not. This is difficult, but it's something to think over in any new relationship you get into. Okay. Next up is page 36. I remained committed long after you were gone. I could not lift my eyes to meet eyes with someone else. Looking felt like betrayal. What excuse would I have when you came back and asked where my hands had been? Loyal. This poem makes me think about when people get into relationships and start mulling over past relationship experiences. Though the situation is set in a post-breakup mood, scrutiny is still there, which makes one feel guilty for where they've placed their bodies and feelings in the past. I agree that adultery, cheating is a huge no-no, which is definitely breaking the trust and loyalty that was built up for the relationship. And yes, setting boundaries between you and other people, like with your body for a relationship, can be an act to make your partner feel special. But what I mean is that you're not going to go out into the world and do things with other people that you've reserved specifically for your partner. And I don't mean like hugs and handshakes. We are human, and humans need social interactions with other people. Though we need to take into consideration of other people's feelings and of course their consent, we don't want someone's existence to dictate what we do with ourselves, especially after they've left us and may not have anything to do with us in the future. It's like We've built a box to contain ourselves in a certain mold that we think appeases the other when we shouldn't just be appeasing others. I feel like I'm kind of moving farther away into something else, but the person in the poem is seemingly revolving themselves around their partner even though the partner is gone. In this way, it is harder to move on because they are restraining themselves. Okay, those are just a few of the poems I picked out from the wilting chapter in Picar's The Sun and the Flowers. I wanted to include a few more, but I've finished my cover spread, so until next time. I hope you enjoyed this video. Stay tuned for new and exciting updates of my life as a graduate student and as a bullet journaling enthusiast. See you next time.